one of the unfortunate storylines coming out of the Texas-Kansas game, because there are a lot of good things, was the injury to J.T. Sanders. There's no structural damage, so he's got to go through some training room sessions, and he'll be able to play. We just don't know if he's going to be 90%, 70%, whatever it may be. But there was an adjustment made. That happened at the end of the first quarter. Maybe it was the beginning of the second quarter. It was right around that time where the injury happened. And the adjustment by Sark was the Big 12 package, which is their extra offensive lineman, the Malik Agbo package. They throw him out there as the extra offensive lineman. In that game, they played more of that 6-0 line package than they've played in any game since Sark's been the head coach at Texas. They introduced this package last season, I believe it was against ULM, where they introduced the package. And they honestly run it in most of their games, but never to the extent or at the rate they ran it in the Kansas game. That's the most, and based on my notes, that's the most snaps of it. And Malik Agbo, I think, had 22 snaps according to Pro Football Focus. So the most snaps of that 6-0 line package they've had. The beauty of it is, when they throw out of it, they were 6 of 6 when they threw out of it versus Kansas, and averaged over 16 yards per attempt. It's one of those packages where it presents you with so many threats in the running game, especially because Texas was running it so well, that you have to respect the run. You can almost guarantee against a lot of teams one-on-ones on the outside. Now, they could decide, no, we're not going to let Texas win the one-on-ones on the outside. And by the way, you're running your offense with fewer receivers when you decide to do that too. You're going to run your offense usually with their Big 12 package. J.T. Sanders was the tight end, but he gets hurt. It's Gunnar Helm now. He's the other tight end. Malik Agbo is considered their other big tight end for the Big 12 package. 1 back, 2 tight ends. And then they'll have Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell. Or they could have Xavier Worthy and Jay Witt. Only the 2 receivers out there. And then they'll have 1 back in their game. And they run a lot of 3 receiver routes. Hell, they'll even run some 2 receiver routes, but they're long developing routes, as just pointed out, 16.6 yards per attempt, because they got extra offensive linemen in there to help them block to get those routes developing downfield. And we're talking about, I would say in one of those 6-0 line packages, you saw them running deep curls and deep outs. You got Sark's now running 17-yard curls in his offense to Xavier Worthy, which is, as a defensive back, I can tell you, is just unheard of. You got to have a quarterback that can make those throws confidently, which Quinn Ewers can. There's a different element to that. I think maybe that's just start kind of stretching out the opposing defense. But in the Oklahoma game, I believe what they're going to do to supplement some of the J.T. Sanders play, if he can't, play at 100%, or they want to have him on a pitch count, it'll be that Big 12 package. Most he's ever played, and it's probably the best and the most effective that I've seen their Big 12 package too, which makes sense because they're so deep on the O-line. But they did not have an incompletion out of the Big 12 package in that Kansas game. Over 16 yards per attempt, and the explosive play rate. They had 3 explosive plays of over 15 yards or more passing the football out of the Big 12 package. Because, like I said, it almost guarantees one-on-ones. If they decide that they want to win the numbers game in the passing game, they can. But then you're going to get whipped and bullied up front. Because Texas has basically, with all the, I don't know exactly, I think their average weight for the offensive line is 325?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, that's a lot of man. You're talking about damn near close to at the tight end, they're close to 2,000 pounds of human up there. And you don't want to be defending that with a light box.
Well, and that's a scary proposition. You're mentioning. That's obviously something Brett Venables is going to be looking at this week. It's one thing if you got that wall in front of Quinn Ewers, who has one of the best arms in college football, and then you've got guys like A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Your defensive backs can do a good job, but they can't cover them for 5 or 6 seconds.
It's impossible.
They can't.
17-yard curls. I'm like, come on, man. I'm not supposed to have to cover a 17-yard curl, coach.
Yeah. And then you got this guy with a rifle on his right arm who can deliver that pass on point. And Quinn was really spinning it. I thought he was ripping it nice on Saturday, stepping into those throws. He made one throw down near the goal line where he kind of fell off his back foot and almost threw an interception, threw it behind Jay Witt. But and Quinn did throw his first pick of the year
Yes, he did.
At the end of the first half when he was trying to force the ball and try to get a field goal before the end, that's one he'd like to have back. But other than that, Quinn has had really good ball security. And you're right, that presents a real problem to a defense.
Especially for if you're an undersized defense. And by the way, Oklahoma, their defensive line is not necessarily a really, big, gargantuan, humongous defensive line. They haven't gotten there yet because Brent Venables is still a little bit behind in getting those big bodies. I think for Sark, maybe he unveiled this not only because he wants Oklahoma to have to prepare for everything, right? We talked about his campaign of misinformation, but I think it's something you may see because he believes that he can bully Oklahoma a little bit, and that'll keep Dylan Gabriel and that offense off the field. And I think he may be thinking, if we end up in some type of shootout, this will be the best way for me to help play complementary football, he talks about it all the time, and help my defense out. I can just keep Dylan Gabriel off the field and play some bully ball with 6 offensive linemen out there. And we'll see what the counter will be. I think the counter is going to be for Venables. He's going to blitz a lot. And we talked about this. Remember I told you I think Kansas should have been blitzing on rundowns. I talked about that in the pregame. I've been blitzing on rundowns, and then you want to try to make sure you can get after Quinn, whether it be simulated pressures or whether it be second-level pressures on third downs, on predictable passing downs. I think Oklahoma on early downs, they're going to blitz just because they got to make plays in the backfield against Texas. You get Texas offensive line going, like I said, with 6 offensive linemen, damn near 2,000 pounds of mass and girth coming at you. It's hard for you just to hold up and be stout unless you got big bodies. Oklahoma doesn't have those big bodies. The best thing they can do is penetrate and kind of slash through and try to make plays in the backfield with faster, undersized guys.
Well, as we mentioned, now coming back from the break, Oklahoma does lead the Big 12 in total defense as far as points allowed, just 10 points a game. But this is obviously their biggest test to this point. And they have not played a great offense. But Texas has gotten the benefit of playing backup quarterbacks each of the last 3 weeks. And heck, even Jalen Milroe was so bad against Texas, they benched him the next week. So, we'll see. This Dylan Gabriel's a 6-year player. He's a really good player. But, it still comes down. You played in that game, Rod, 4 times?
Yeah,
it comes down to players. It's a players' game. You got to make plays.